All right, let's go to the phone lines, and we've got Corky Messner is on the line. Corky is one of three Republican candidates vying for the Republican nomination for U.S. Senate. That'll be held in September, so it's a long way out. And to take on Democrat Jeanne Shaheen. Now, the president putting a huge effort in New Hampshire. He's having a rally Monday. He's already had a rally a couple months ago. He's putting tremendous resources in the state. They lost New Hampshire last time by 1,600 votes. They think they're going to win it in 2020, and that puts Jeanne Shaheen at risk because the thinking goes, if you're voting for Trump in New Hampshire, why would you then vote for the liberal senator that voted to impeach him? It doesn't make any sense.
It makes no
so you're
sense
going to
at
vote for
all.
the Republican. So therefore, the winner of the nomination has a real chance of beating Jeanne Shaheen. And joining me now, one of the candidates vying for it, Corky Messner. Hey, Corky, you're on with John, Elaine, and Curtis. Great to have you.
Hey, John. Hey, Elaine. Hey, Curtis.
You
How
there?
you doing today?
Jan?
Yeah.
Is Corky
Can you
on?
hear me, John? John,
Okay,
can you
you
hear
got it.
me?
Hey.
Yes, we got you. We got you. Good job, Mitchell, in getting Corky. You might turn his volume up there, Mitchell, where it says phone, where you put him in the phone on the soundboard where it says phone. Turn that up so we can get a better connection. Just pot him up a little bit. All right, Corky, you're with us. Great to have you. We're here at the Bernie Sanders campaign. A lot of enthusiasm. Tell us, why are you in this race, Corky?
John, I'm in it to fight for the people of New Hampshire so they can all have the opportunity to live the American dream, which is individual liberty and economic freedom. And I want to make sure that everybody in New Hampshire and their kids and their kids' kids have that opportunity that's provided to them by keeping government out of their way and giving them individual liberty and economic freedom.
Well, Corky, you've got a couple other candidates in the race, and if you don't mind, I'm going to be very candid. One of the candidates is a former Speaker of the House of New Hampshire, the House of Representatives, O'Brien. During the campaign in 2016, O'Brien was one of the most vicious never-Trumpers. I know he's now made friends with everybody, and he was a speaker and all that. But, you know, I got to be honest with you, Corky. I am sick and tired of putting these never-Trumpers, nominating them. Like, look what happened to Romney, right? They always stab us in the back. Why would we go down that path again? Just somebody tell me, why do we keep doing the same thing and ending up in the same place with more Ritt Romneys and Colonel Vindhams and all these other people that, you know, we keep putting in there and they keep screwing us? Why would we do that?
Well, John, we wouldn't do that. You know, I've always been a Trump supporter, and I will continue to be a Trump supporter, and I'm focused on beating Jeanne Shaheen. And I think President Trump has the formula to win again and then also win New Hampshire and help me beat Jeanne Shaheen.
How are you going to beat her?
Number of ways, John. One is I'm going to expose her voting record for the leftist liberal record that it is. She hides in the fog of Washington, D.C., John. She's a career politician, and she hides from the people, of New Hampshire, and I'm going to expose that liberal record.
And when Trump fired yesterday, or as Elaine would say, transferred, I say fired, Colonel Vindham and his twin brother Alexei, or whatever the guy's name is, they escorted him out of the White House unceremoniously. Then he turns around and he fires Gordon Sondland, who stabbed him in the back like Benedict Arnold. A lot of people were bemoaning that, saying it showed bad decorum. You know, they were good people. They're public servants. Of course, Sondland served at the pleasure of the president. He's a political appointee. Turned around, stabbed him in the back. And so Trump fired them both. And a lot of the liberals were saying in the phony fake news that was retribution. I say, if that's retribution, I want more of it. How do you stand on that? Do you think Trump did the right thing in firing these guys?
Yeah, John, I think in the case of Colonel Vindman, And I should note, I'm a veteran. I'm a West Point grad. I served. I have two sons currently at West Point, one graduating this spring and going into the infantry. So we're a military family. I think you've got to separate Vindman's military service from his activities on the National Security Council, and the president deserves to pick whoever he wants to serve in the White House, and he cannot have someone serving on the National Security Council who is leaking information and undermining his policy. So I think what he did was entirely appropriate, and I think also recalling the ambassador was entirely appropriate.
Yeah, he told him to get on the first plane back. I mean, look, Ambassador Sondland serves at the pleasure of the president, and the president didn't feel like he was doing him justice there. And so he has a right to fire any of these people. In fact, Curtis Ellis here with us, I'm going to get him involved, told us that earlier, reminded us that when Obama, on Inauguration Day, he sent a letter to every single U.S. ambassador, every one of them, including the Shore d'Affaires, and fired them all. And now the Shore d'Affaires he couldn't fire, but he said, you're going to be replaced. Every single one of them. Right?
Right.
So
standard operating procedure.
Exactly. All right, Corky, what about, I don't know if you saw the Democrat debate last night, but all of a sudden Robo Pete is surging. He caught Sanders. He's got basically 8 lines that he cuts and pastes every which way. I mean, do you see a Mayor Pete being the nominee? What do you think, Robo Pete?
Yeah, I don't know, John. I don't think so. I think that Buttigieg is just the latest shiny object for the Democrats. I don't think he can withstand the heat. I think if he is the nominee, I think President Trump will beat him handily. I think Buttigieg is simply a machine that spouts out talking points, and as you said, in various ways. I don't think he has any original ideas. I don't think he has any ideas that'll help the American people. I mean, that debate last night, in one word, I would just call it denial. I think they're all in denial about the great results that President Trump is achieving, and they have no ideas, and all they're about is dividing the country and dividing the country into various victim groups. And while President Trump is bringing the country together with a vibrant economy, and as they say, a rising tide lifts all boats, and we're seeing that. And we're seeing it with the wage increases at the lower end of the wage scale, the jobs, 225,000 jobs yesterday reported, and everybody is benefiting from President Trump's policies, and the Democrats are simply in denial about it.
You know what, Elaine? You saw the debate last night. We with Corky Messner on now. Did you hear one new idea that the Democrats had other than Medicare for all? What was it? Their new ideas was Medicare for all, reparations, government takeover of electricity, give everybody $1,000. I mean, what?
Even Medicare for all is not a new idea. It's just a new slogan. It's the same idea they've had all along, and that's government-run, single-payer. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't work in other countries. I mean, even Chris Matthews from MSNBC went on a rant last night and literally said, it doesn't friggin' work.
Yeah. See,
well, John,
go ahead,
John,
Corky.
On Medicare for all, when Bernie Sanders proposed that in the Senate a few years ago, Jeanne Shaheen was a co-sponsor of that bill. She was supporting Medicare for all a few years ago. Now, with the election coming up, she's trying to back off from it, but the record is clear.
So, here's why I'm excited about your campaign. I don't think you can win by running away from Trump. One of your opponents was a never Trumper. Now he says he's reformed. You know, whatever. Romney went begging back to be senator, begging for endorsements, begging to be Secretary of State. How'd that turn out, Corky? Not too good. Your other opponent, the general, I can't really say his name. I can never figure out how to pronounce it. Really great guy, served this country. I thank him for that. Super guy. But when Trump pulled out of Syria, he blasted him. He blasted him on Soleimani. So you've got a guy now running for Senate that doesn't agree with President Trump's America First agenda. Didn't we have a New Hampshire Senate candidate that ran away from Trump in 2016? Wasn't her name Kelly Ayotte, or am I forgetting something, Curtis Ellis?
Kelly Ayotte lost. She lost by 1,000 votes or so, right, because she ran away from President Trump.
Exactly.
She ran away from Donald Trump, so she got no base support. And the Democrats are always going to run against you. They're always going to vote against you. They're never going to vote for a Republican, period.
I mean, to me, Corky, to win, you've got to be authentically in favor of President Trump's America First agenda. I don't know if you're the second candidate down in the ballot and you're running away from Trump and he wins the state. How do you win with a separate agenda? How does that work? I don't think it does.
John, it wouldn't work. But the most important part of that is President Trump's policies are working. And supporting those policies is supporting things that are working. And this president needs our support because for the last 2.5 years, he's been beat up by the liberals, the Democrats, and the mainstream media. And despite all that, he's had tremendous accomplishments.
Right, no question about it. Tell us, Corky, a little bit about your background and what really inspired you to run for U.S. Senate, because you've got a pretty interesting background. Can you share that for a moment?
Sure. Thanks, John. I grew up in a blue-collar family, left home at 17 years old to attend West Point. I graduated from West Point in 1979. I became an infantry officer, an airborne Army Ranger. I went to Army Ranger School and earned my Ranger tab. I volunteered to serve in Western Europe during the Cold War, where I led an infantry company of about 150 soldiers. After I served, I became a lawyer. I went to a mega law firm for a few years. Then I decided to become an entrepreneur and start my own small business. Well, that small business, which was a small law firm, I grew into a national law firm with offices in 9 cities from coast to coast. And I'm very proud of it, and there's over 200 people that work for me. When my youngest son went off to West Point, I decided it was time for me to go and get into the fray in politics and fight for the American dream, because I've had the opportunity to live the American dream, and I want to make sure every Granite Stater and every kid in the Granite State has the opportunity to live the American dream. That's individual liberty and economic freedom. And I want to stop the Democrats from becoming socialists, and I want to support the president, support his policies, and continue the policies that are working for this country.
Amen and hallelujah. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody within the sound of my voice needs to vote for this man. This is not a dull as dishwater, bland leading the bland candidate. This is a true American hero, someone who has been outside of Washington his entire life, just what we need to shake things up, just what we need to put some steel in the backbone of the other Republicans currently occupying the United States Senate. They need to get on board the Trump train, and they need a hero like this man, someone with tested by military discipline, who has the experience and the leadership to lead. That's who we need in the Senate. That's what we need happening here, folks. You have a shot at winning the Republican primary. Corky Messner. Corky Messner is the name. Do not forget it.
Corky Messner. Curtis.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. Thank you.
We're going to put that on tape. That was quite the endorsement because, look, Corky, you've got military experience. You know, you just like the general, you've been to West Point, but you started a business. You've been outside of D.C. You're not part of the swamp. You believe in President Trump's America First agenda. And I got to tell you, Corky, we are sick and tired of sitting around. Sick of sitting around with the never Trumpers and the Colonel Vindmans and the backstabbers and the weasels and the rats going around the White House. And your two opponents, I mean, one of them bailed on Trump on two major foreign policy decisions. The other one was a vicious never Trumper. And I'm supposed to just sit there and say, oh, Mr. O'Brien, you're Speaker. You know, thanks for putting up all these nasty Facebook posts that we had to deal with for all this time. But now that Trump won and you want to be a senator, now everything is fine.
Well, I'll tell
I'm supposed to buy that? I'm not buying that anymore. I'm done with that.
If you tried to get a job in the Trump administration as a janitor and they found Facebook posts like that, you would be out so fast. You would never get through the presidential appointment process office.
Yeah, but now you're going to run for Senate.
Yeah.
Right. And because you're Speaker of the House, you got all these ties, I'm supposed to sit there and, take it again. I am sick and tired of this. I want people in the Senate like Corky Messner that believe in the president and his American First agenda. And if we don't start, Curtis, right now saying we've had enough with these never Trumpers, RNC types, the George Bush Republicans, H. Bush, W. Bush, that Bush, Dick Cheney, warmongers, the whole bunch of them.
Paul Ryan losers.
Paul Ryan. If we don't start backing candidates with enthusiasm that have the president's back, what's the point? What was it, Elaine? Who was it that said, who was it that you were telling me coming on the bus that said the purpose of a party is to amass power? Who was that?
James Carville.
And he said,
power. It's a win.
It said, if you don't have people that are going to support the president's agenda, what the hell good is it? You can't get anything done. That's the thing. 2020, we need people like Corky Messner in the Senate who are going to fight for the president, fight for his agenda, but not only, go with it because he's the president, but because they believe in it.
Right.
Because they believe in it. And the one thing the president is starting to learn is ideology matters.
That's right.
Personnel is policy. Ideology matters. If you don't believe in what he's doing, you're not going to do anything to forward his agenda. And that's why we need Corky Messner in the Senate, because he's going to fight for the president's agenda because he believes in it.
Right.
Corky Messner for Senate.
Thanks,
Corky,
guys. Thank you all so much.
What's your website?
CorkyForSenate.com, Corky for Senate on Twitter, CorkyForSenate.com.